All right, fellow Krabby Crafters, here we go. What I've done is I've taken the 2 sheets of the Nina, the Solar White cardstock. I've taken those out and we're going to stamp on those. It's 110 pound Solar White Nina, 110 pound Solar White cardstock. We've got that. I've also got some pre-cut hot pressed watercolor paper. I get this from Hobby Lobby and I cut it down. What I like about the hot pressed watercolor paper is that it's smooth. Hot pressed watercolor paper is always going to be smooth. So we're going to stamp a little bit on that. And we've also got these 2 sheets here. And the ink that I was trying to remember is this, the Creative Intense Black Alcohol Marker Friendly ink. And this is what we get from Simon Says Stamp. And it comes and goes in stock quite a bit, apparently, because it took me a while to get that. Every time I'd go to order it, they would be out. And then when I finally did get it, it was finally in stock and I finally got it. I ordered 2 because I wanted to make sure. And I don't know if it comes with a ink or not, but so what we're going to do is we're going to break out these stamps from the set and just kind of show you now. Normally, now this took work for me when I first started stamping. This was annoying for me. It was trying to get the impression right and get enough ink on the stamp. So what I'm actually going to do is I am going to use one of these smaller pieces here. I'm going to go ahead and set this over here. Normally I just use a piece of scrap cardstock, but I don't have one handy. I've got all of my Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous grid blocks, just different sizes, and I like these. I also have a stamping platform, but for what we're going to do today, I'm gonna just dump out all the grid blocks so that way I can find what works best for the stamp. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start stamping some images. So we're going to go ahead and open that up like that. Now let's see. I think what we're going to do is, I love this bird. I love this mailbox bird. So we're going to grab him and we're going to figure out which, oh, this is going to be the perfect grid block right there. Yep. Because that's going to allow me to actually, nope, we're going to do a little bit different because I want to go sideways. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use this grid block. It's a big old grid block, huge grid block, but that's okay. All right. And what I'm going to do now is, and this is where this took some work for me, is learning how to ink up a stamp. So what I've learned is, and these Simon Says stamps are so crisp, you can already see it's nice and dark there. You're getting a good impression with the ink if you can see that underneath it through the paper there. Some inks, depending on what you're using, when you look at the stamp, you're like, oh, did I have enough ink on there? And I tended to overstamp and then I tended to understamp, and it was just a challenge. But we're gonna just go straight to the paper with this and we're gonna see what we get. And what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna put you right there. A little firm pressure. Make sure we're transferring that ink and then just come straight up. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my goodness, look at that. Such a nice, crisp, clean. I don't have the dies to go with this. So we're gonna fussy cut this and I'm gonna show you a trick in a little bit, but for now, I want another one of these guys. And so we're just gonna go right underneath him and we've inked it up and we're gonna firm pressure. It doesn't take that much. I'm probably pressing harder than I need to. Oh my gosh, look at that. You know what? We got room, let's do one more. And this is what I do when I get the kit. I go ahead and just stamp. I stamp onto white cardstock, whatever I'm using, however I'm gonna do it. I go ahead and stamp and get everything ready for coloring. Now, normally I use colored pencils, but and some markers, but I am wanting to branch out into my alcohol markers since I do have a number of those. I do have a number of those sitting around. So I smudged a little bit at the bottom. I slid a little bit, but that's okay once I color that in. So there we go. So we got those 3 images done. Come back here and grab my binky, wipe him off, and let's pull him off of the grid block. And we're going to pop him right back where he was. And then, and let's see. Now let me just, and I'll just show you what I do is off to the side. I keep it, I don't pull it because you can't see it. So what I do is I unfold it and I lay it back over the top. That way I can see everything. It's actually in reverse. This is actually what you're going to get. But you can see everything this way. And you can't quite read the words, but at least I know what I'm dealing with. So we'll just go ahead and put that there. And let's see, we don't need the giant grid block anymore. I think I can go, I want to get this bird bath. And so we're just gonna, yep, we're gonna put him down and we're gonna pick him up. And we're gonna make, we're gonna do a couple bird baths. Let's get the bird bath. And just looking to make sure, looks like I got enough ink on there. When you're working with a good ink pad, makes all the difference. If you don't have a lot of ink on your pad, or if you're using like a reactive ink, it's not designed for a crisp image. So you're not always, you're gonna struggle, and that's where the stamping platform is gonna come in handy. But for the purpose of this, this type of ink and what we're doing, you're going to get that good crisp image. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So we're going to get some more of those. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp up. I just wanted to show you the ink that we're using, and I'm stamping onto the Neenah Solar White. We're going to fussy cut, but I just wanted to show you how I do it, and hopefully just to kind of let you know that you can do it. It's easy if you're worried about stamping. When you're dealing with, again, when you're dealing with a stamp set like this, make sure you're using a good black ink, a crisp black. This is intense black. This is great stuff. Once it dries, alcohol friendly. I won't heat gun it. I'll just let it sit. I'm not going to start coloring today. So we're just going to kind of let it heat set. I'm just looking to see. I have a little room there. I kind of want to go ahead and get a third bird bath, so we're going to do that. Just go ahead and ink it back up. And this is something I've said on other videos. You wanna ink the stamp, not stamp the ink, and I'll show you what I mean. All right. Oops, I think I may have smudged that. We'll find I may have turned it a little bit. Nope, that looks good. So when I say is you want to stamp, you want to ink the stamp. Okay. You want what I mean is you want to ink the stamp. You don't want to stamp the ink. If you're doing this and trying to get to the pad, a couple of things are going to happen. You're going to lean awkwardly. You're going to get ink on your block. You're going to get ink on your fingers. Okay, so ink the stamp. Ink the stamp. Just remember that. That's the best way to do it. On rare occasions will I do this. Rare occasions will I do that. All right, so let's go ahead and put him back in here where he was. And let's see. These birds are absolutely adorable. Let's just go ahead and start stamping some birds. I can go with a little bit smaller block for the birds. Is that gonna fit? That's not gonna fit. This one will fit. So we're gonna grab him. And this is what I mean. See, this is a little more awkward. And you can do it, but for me, just ink the stamp. Ink the stamp. And let's pop this little guy. And it doesn't matter which way he's turned, because like I said, we're gonna fussy cut all these out. There he is. Let's go ahead and get him again. These birds are absolutely adorable. I love this stamp set. I'm a big Christmas and somewhat of a Halloween guy. So when you start getting into some of these stamps, I'm like, you know, it's a little too soft for me as a guy. And then other times where maybe it's just not, a little too flowery. But that being said, I have this thing for butterflies, and so I love butterflies. And so we're gonna let's do this guy. Let's get a couple of him. But I love this stamp set. This is just very I don't know. I like it. It's very whimsical to me. It's very nice, and it's whimsical. And I'm gonna be honest with you. What I'm doing here, you could stamp all this onto one sheet of paper, color it in, and then frame it. I've done that before, and we may do that as a future project. It's been a while since I've done something like that, where I stamped a whole sheet of paper, colored it in, kind of did the whole collage type thing. Let's just put you right there. That'll be fine. Looking good, guys. Looking good. All right, let's grab another bird. Where was he? There he was. We've done him. And we got these two guys here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull them off. Help me remember which ones I've done and haven't done. It does help too when you ink. If you ink over something white on your background, you can see it come through. All right, let's put him right here. Boom, looking good. One more. What I will probably wind up doing with these guys is, I will cut them out using like a little shape die, more than anything. Let's go up here with you. There we go. That one's done. And of course, you're getting the hang of this. Feel free to skip forward. You don't have to watch all this until we get to something where you can use it. Something different. And that, ooh boy, that's what happens when you drop your ink pad. So let's clean that up quickly. Thankfully, it didn't land all over that. All right. My big old stubby fingers and chunky hands trying to do this. And you could even put like a bird like right on this bird feeder. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to put him right there. Look at that. Oh, that's going to be so pretty when we cut that out. All right, let's get him, and let's put him right here. Let's just put you right there just to get one more bird. That's plenty of birds. I like that. We've stamped all the birds. We'll worry about sentiments and other things. Now you have all these hearts. Ooh, I do want to get some of these flowers. So let's go ahead and do those. Let's go ahead and do those. And to do the flowers, I will use, yep, we'll use this guy. And probably what I'll do is turn the paper here because I'm going to be stamping like that. Okay, all right. I'm dropping everything today. My goodness, okay. Huh. All right, and let's just pop you right in here. And, ooh, okay. He is a little bit too wide for that block. So let's go with, all right, let's just pick him up. Let's just pick him up with that grid block. There's a lot more detail in this one, I think. Oh yeah. Then we're gonna pop him right here. You know, an archival ink or something like that. No, I don't worry about those. I don't worry about cleaning my stamps at all. This works just fine. It has for me so far, and I have no reason to change. Okay. Let me flip this over and see what we've got, because I want to see if there's anything else I want to do. Oh, I love the bird notes, the bathrooms. We got the flowers, friends. I think we're good. Just a couple little flowers. So this is good. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to color these, and I may show you a little bit of that, but I'm going to let this dry real good, and then we're going to come back and we're going to cut these out. But let me show you. Actually, I wanted to show you my trick for fussy cutting. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Is you put your stamp down, okay, on the paper. And you need a small block, something that you can press on and hold, something that's not, you know, like that. And what I do is take a pencil and we just go around the edges and just kind of lightly draw, and that gives me a guide from which to cut. If I don't want to do that, then what I'll do is I just eyeball the stamp. So you'll see, all right, if you look at the mailbox, so it comes up, you got these little flowery pieces and it comes up, and this is all pretty easy, right? But if you'll notice how they round it, it comes up It comes up here and then goes here and then it just goes around here and then here and then, and you just, I look at the stamp, and as I'm fussy cutting, I'm cutting with the ridges, I'm just rounding. I'm cutting round. I'm not cutting into each little blade of grass. You don't have to do that. Let me put this guy back up in here, and then I'll hold it up and show you what I mean before we start working on something else. But what we do, I'm not sure why I grabbed that. So what I do is, instead of cutting into each individual blade of grass, we're gonna come around here and we're gonna cut around and we're gonna come up and down. And I will, let me grab a pencil, maybe, because I don't mind doing this. You can trace out your design. So what I'm gonna do when I go to fussy cut this is I'm just going to okay. Now, I'm gonna hold that up where you can see. Look at that. And that's almost the same as die cutting, okay? That's what you're gonna get when you die cut it. Be a little more detailed, get a little bit more intricate. But notice how I didn't come down in between these blades of grass? A little bit there, which I didn't even have to. And then you just come straight up to the, and you can get as close to your design as you want. I tend to get a little bit closer, and this is just a guide. I'm not even fully pressing down. Now, those scallops, am I gonna cut those scallops? I am not. I'm going to just come around here and come around here. And I don't need to draw all this out. Any place where I'm concerned, that's where I'm gonna draw. So what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna come into here, come up and come around here, down around here, down around here. A little bit of the bird's head, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And that's all you gotta do. Just draw it out before you start cutting it. That way you're not thinking, oh, I cut in here. You're getting crisp cuts. And then when you're finished, you have this weird, sometimes jagged looking die cut, fussy cut piece. So just draw it out, sketch it out. And then just, as long as you can follow your lines, which it took me a while. I'm not the most stable. You've already seen me drop stuff on this video, but that's what I do. And the same way with this bird. That's so easy. I'm gonna come in here, and what I'm probably gonna do here is I may try and get a little detail. I'll come in here and then I'll draw around and come in just to get a little, bring that to a V. I won't try and draw that little flat part. I'll probably come in, let me show you what I'm probably gonna do. I'm gonna come in here and come out like that. And then I will follow the wing a little bit, and then we'll come around the beak and then around the bird. So let me hold that up and hopefully you can see that. So that's the trickiest part right there. And if I wanted to, I could literally just kind of come up to there and then bounce in and do that. But I like that. I think that'll work. Same way with this guy. I'll come in here, I will cut into the beak. I will come around here, cut in a little bit. See? So just draw it out, draw it out. Very different with the flowers, but think about it. Do I want all these little ripples right here? I do not. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna literally draw around that leaf. I'm gonna have maybe one ripple there, come around to here, come down here, all the way down to here, and you'll see once I finish this, color it, and get it all done, and once I start fussy cutting it, I'll show that to you on the video as well. All right, so I'm gonna take a little break, get some things ready. We'll be right back. All right, guys, so just wanted to show you where we are with the kit so far. So I'm using the Neenah Solar White and the Intense Black Creative ink, which is really good for these alcohol markers. We've done some coloring, a little bit of shading, which I'm new to, so you guys will have to bear with me. It worked okay. Sometimes you put a little too much alcohol ink, it did still saturate, but when I cut it out, I won't worry about that. So this is basically what we're looking at so far, and I'm gonna go cut these out. We're gonna get some things ready. So I went online and try to get some ideas, try to get the creative juices flowing. I did make this card, which not a huge fan of it. You know, it was so simple. So I just wanted to show it to you. Took some of the string that came with the kit and tied it around this piece of the paper that that we ran through the embossing folder, and put one of the tags on it with a little bit of the marker there, a little bit of distress crayon rather, and then rubbed it in. And then put this little, just this little cinnamon on the front. So it's not too bad. Very simple card. Not my favorite, but just trying to get the juices flowing. And as it stands now, I've got some ideas. I've kind of got started, so I know what we're going to do. So we're going to work on a few things. This is one that will be a reminder of some techniques and how things work and don't work. Did sand this and put some ink on it. Again, just not my favorite card, but this is where we are right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these out and did draw some guidelines around some of these. We're going to fussy cut these because we don't have the dies that go with them, but that's what it looks like when you're working with a kit like this. And so just to kind of show you everything there that we've got and the colors, I'll pull it up where you can kind of see it. If you're new to alcohol markers, again, most of my coloring is done with colored pencils, and I will do I will color with a water brush and some watercolors. I do like watercoloring, and especially with the reactive inks and different things like that. But I am trying to get into alcohol ink marker blending, and so we're doing okay with it. We're getting there. I do like the way the blossoms came out. You can see the greens and the shading there, the dark green, the light green, the reds. You know, so it came out pretty well. Even on the birds, I think you can see the shading there. It came out well enough. Got that one. Don't like the colors on that mailbox, but it is what it is. Actually like this one, kind of like this one the best. This one's okay. Got the light side over there. This one, I'm not sure. Each one's a little different, but there you go. So just playing around with that. So we're gonna get a few more things together, and then we're gonna come back and we're actually gonna walk through making about 3 different cards with you on the kit. All right, so I was going to spare you guys all the fussy cutting. I said, well, I'll make a video. Then I said no. And then I said, I need to make a video. So all that stuff that we stamped earlier and colored, and I didn't make a video of that. I was like running behind, didn't have time. The new kit's getting ready to come out, and I'm still working on this one. But I cut all these out, and it's not hard. It's time consuming. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of just do one live. Every time I see a video, they speed it up, or they don't really do a fussy cutting video. These are actually easier ones. The flowers were a little tricky, but because you have to cut up into, and then see, like here, I didn't cut this white part. I didn't cut into that. Dipped into right there to that part of the flower, but not that part of the flower. Just tried to round off the leaves. So fussy cutting it's really up to you what you want to cut and what you don't want to cut. So what I try to do is I try to start with a line. So I'm going to come across the tip of the beak and then just work my way down around the bottom of the bird. Now the birds are easy because they're very round. And when I get down to the feet, I just come down through here and just give them a flat part. And then we're just going to cut up into the back of the feathers a little bit, and then we're going to come here. If you need good scissors for fussy cutting, and these are this is, I think, the only pair I have of this Tim Holtz, and they're the mini shears. They're not the new ones. These are the older ones. They say the new ones are really good, but I like these. These are the ones that I've been using. See, notice now I've cut. Now I'm not cutting, but I'm turning the page, and the scissors, well, they came loose. The scissors will turn with the paper. I can't explain it. It's just the scissors are really sharp. So you almost don't have to cut. If you just turn the paper, the scissors will do the work for you. So you see how I went around the tip of the wing there. Now I'm actually cutting, and I'm going to come into that corner just a little bit, and then we're going to turn, and we're going to come around the top of his head. And I'm just eyeballing this. I didn't draw this one. I think earlier on the video, I don't know if I edited that out or not, but I showed you how I just take a pencil and kind of sketch around them. And I'm going to come in on the beak just a little bit and then come out. And we're going to snip that off. So this is what we're left with. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in on the beak, and then we're going to come this way and just pull that little piece out. And there's the beak. And then we're going to just come into here. Now you want to be careful with these. I will tell you that I have nipped my fingers with these shears, and boy, they are, I don't know if they're titanium. I don't know what they are. All I know is they're sharp, and they do have a little bit of a razor edge. All right, so there's the bird. I think I may have gone off camera, so I'll do one more, and I'll try and stay in camera. But there's the bird. But these scissors, they have, you can't really see it, but they have a serrated edge. Well, all I can tell you is they're sharp. All right, so I got one more bird to cut, so I'm gonna go ahead and do him. This one's real easy. You can see the lines very fluid. And I did draw around that one a little bit. See how we sketched around that to kind of give me a guide? Let me see if I can get that to focus. And you can kind of hopefully see that. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in on the wing. And I am turning the paper just a little bit to follow the curve of the wing. I'm letting the paper cut through. I'm letting the paper do the work. I'm letting the scissors do the work by just moving the paper through the scissors. Sometimes you cut the paper. Other times you move the paper through the scissors. Here I'm actually cutting now. But when I get right here to the tail, I'm going to turn and then we'll cut. And then we're going to, so I'm trying to make sure I'm staying in camera. Sorry guys. And then we're going to come around here and there's a little dip in the tail there. So I'm actually going to cut that. I'm going to turn in with the scissors and then turn them and come right back out. The paper is very, it doesn't bend, it doesn't want to give or do anything. I mean, it gives, it doesn't want to bind, again, because the scissors are sharp. If I weren't using sharp scissors, this wouldn't be nearly as easy. So if you're fussy cutting, you want a good pair of scissors. And so here we go. Almost done with that. We're going to come around, and again, I'm just turning the paper. And as you're turning the paper, the scissors are cutting through it. So we're going to come around here and come across the top of the head there, trying to eyeball it. And I'm going to come right across. I'm going to come down behind the beak, turn the paper to come across the tip of the beak. Okay. Now that allows me a little freedom to turn and cut into the beak like that, come out like that. And I'm going to come out to the wing like that. And there's a little bit of white there. I can leave that. I actually don't mind that. But I'm going to go ahead and come in just a little bit on that. And very carefully cut out a little bit of that white. And let's see if I can get it to come loose. Now this is more than you need to do. Okay, I could have left that and it would have been just fine. I cut it out on, I cut that bird as well. I actually did a better job on that one. Let me see if I can, let me get rid of that there's a little bit of white there. So I'm just gonna, because I'm being difficult with myself, I'm going to snip that off. There we go. Love it. Love it. There's a little bit of a lip in there, but it doesn't matter. You're fussy cutting, guys. So, all right, so there we go. I hope you can see that. Let me adjust my light here and see if I can get it. It's trying to fall off on me a minute ago. All right. So there you go. All right, so that's fussy cutting. Then when you're done, you're left with all these little scraps of paper. And just obviously, we just throw those away. So there's there's fussy cutting. I will make another video because I do more of this. I do more of this than I'd like because I don't buy the dies unless it's just a set that I really, really, really love. I just don't buy the dies. So I do fussy cutting, or we stamp directly onto the paper and we color on the paper. And that's what we're actually going to do next. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and pull all of these, and you can see how I cut down into the flower on that one a little bit, but on this one I didn't. I just came across the top. Whatever you want to do, it's entirely up to you. And then the same with the mailboxes here. I just went along the edges there. I didn't cut down into those. The heart was a little fun, a little bit tricky, but we got it done. And so there are those, and they're all colored differently. We'll do some coloring videos later. I'm just looking at this, and this is bothering me. So what I'm going to do is there's a little bit of a non-rounded edge, so I'm going to round that off. And I didn't dip down into the middle of the heart here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to cut down in and come back out and around, and that looks a little better to me. There we go. I actually like that a little bit better. Okay, and I didn't try to cut those scallops. There are fussy cutters out there who they're not normal. The things they do, well, they're not normal. All right, so we got all this ready. So we're going to set this to the side, and we'll be using this on. We'll be using all this on the couple of cards that we're going to make. in just a minute. All right, guys, so Pastor Ian here, the Krabby Krafter. We started out, we're going to do videos with the kit, but we just did not have time. A lot going on with life. I think I mentioned on probably more times than you want to hear if you watch any of my other videos. I don't do this full time, so when I have the time, that's when I craft and make the videos. So I just wanted to show you what we did. Did make the video yesterday where we blended on 2 note cards, plain white note cards, and so this was the orange blend, and so that one's ready to go. And then also there was this one, which we blended in blue. I was going to do something different with it. So we blended this one, and we actually then took from the paper that came with the kit, we cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4 so that we'd have a nice little border there. And we're gonna do something a little bit different with that. So we're just actually gonna, and I could have just used, because I did go into my stash and I actually grabbed this blue cardstock that's already done. And so I could have just used one of these, but since we've already blended this, we're gonna go ahead and use that. Or I may just grab another blue one, but you'll see this will show up. This will show up later. I actually like that a little bit better. So I think we're gonna change that up. We're gonna put that there. Went ahead and took this again from my card stash. This is a ready to go card. It's already yellow. And I cut down a piece of the gold metallic, again, 4 by 5 1/4 so that we'd have a nice little border there. We're going to do something with that. Took from the paper stock, cut this one down, again with a pre-made green base. We're going to put that on that. And I like this cut apart. I just like that. We're going to use that. So we got that one ready to go. And I think we're going to go back to my original plans with these. This was the card, the first card that I made, and I don't like it, but I'll show it to you. We ran this through the die cut, through the embossing folder, and then this was the piece that was left over, and I just ran it through the embossing folder just to make a little extra piece. But this card, again, not my favorite, but it gave me some ideas to work with. But what I'm going to do with this is I like the way this looks against this blue. So we're gonna use this, but we're going to use it along with something else. I just haven't decided what yet. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do with this yet. So we'll see. Or we may wind up not using it all. Oh, and by the way, you could flip it over and you could do the reverse side. That craft side looks really good. In fact, we may do that later on in the video. So we got all these ready to go. I'm going to get a few more pre-colored card bases because I want to do a few things. These are the cut aparts. And what I wanted to show you with this kit, basically just the cards we're going to make, just how to use what came with the kit, trying to keep it simple. So we're just using, the only thing extra that I've brought in, we did ink these 2 up, and then all the cards themselves, the card bases themselves, came from my stash because they don't come with the kit. You could take the solar white that comes with it, you could cut it in half, score it, and you would get 2 card bases out of that. You can also just cut it into 4 pieces and get card fronts to go onto a base, which is what I do. I don't like to waste this good card stock. So that's what we did with that. That's why that's sitting over there like that. So other than that, we've also got all of our cut aparts. Let's see, we did all of our, I just showed you in the earlier part of the video where we did all of the stamping and the coloring, and then we did the fussy cutting, so we have all those ready to go as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start assembling the final pieces, and then we'll put the cards together real quick for you. All right, guys, so here we are now with voiceover time. A little change in quality there, and I do apologize for my sinuses. We've been dealing with pollen here in Georgia. Went from 80-degree weather now to 38-degree weather, but what we did for this first card was we took a card base, the blue card base, and took one of the papers that came with the kit, and we cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. So that's going to give us a nice 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, and we're going to glue that onto that base. But what I wanted to do with some of that white space on the card is I thought we would put the stamps to good use. So what we're going to do is take a couple of sentiments from the stamp kit, and we're going to stamp onto the paper. Don't forget, when you're working with these papers that come with the kit, or any papers that you have, you can embrace the space, the open space, or you can stamp on it. You can stamp on these papers, and you can use distress inks, you can use archival ink, permanent ink, whatever you want to use. we're still using the Creative Intensive Black. Actually, I think this is, no, this is Distress Ink Archival Black, so that's going to be permanent. And so we use the Sending You Big, and then the hugs, and then we put some of those hearts that came with the kit to work there. So we're just going to kind of fill this in. So we're going to keep this one simple. We could have left it alone, could have just stamped the sentiment on there, could have stamped the sentiment onto a separate piece of paper, cut it out, and use some embossing powder. But I like the idea of just putting ink on paper. So what we did here was we just went to the stamps and put those on this front that had been cut down. So I like that. I like the hearts. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to set that aside and let that dry. And we're going to grab another card, another piece of paper that came in the kit, and we cut this one down as well. And I'm trying to figure out what I don't have a plan. Sometimes I get an idea, but I don't know what I'm going to do. So I was looking there trying to figure out what I wanted to put on this card. And what I wanted to do here was to put on the front, and that little opening was the word sing. So we're going to put that in there, and then we're going to stamp on the inside of the card with another one of the sentiment. So whenever I stamp on the cards like this, and I don't like to use the a heat tool, because it does tend to, the paper curls. It'll flatten back out, but I just don't like to do it. I set it aside. So on the inside, we're going to use the sentiment that says, like no one is watching. And I love that. I love that. So sing, and you open it up like no one is, or like no one is listening. It's dance like no one is watching, but this is sing like no one is listening. So for this next card, took another sheet of the paper. We cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. We're going to mount that on the front, and that is going to give us our nice little border around the edge with some blue cardstock. And I took one of those cut apart pieces, and we're going to take some ink, and we're going to distress the edges a little bit. I didn't like it on there directly. It just was a little too bright, too crisp. And so we're going to distress around the edges a little bit with that archival. And then we're going to put a little tape on that. And I was trying to figure out how I wanted to mount this, and I decided I want some dimension. I do like to put a little bit of dimension on my cards. And so, and I'm not peculiar about the middle piece, if it kind of presses down or bows down. I put one on that one just because a lot of times, depending on how I do it, I'll leave that open. If you've ever lifted up a piece that you put on a card like that, and sometimes you press down on it and it's just kind of wonky, then just put an extra piece in the middle like I did. So we got that card right there. And then what we're going to do is, and I thought about this after the fact, made this a little bit difficult on myself, is I'm actually going to take one of the birds, and we're going to stamp a bird on there. And what I wanted to do was find a color that would fit with the paper. So that's what we're going to do here. And what we're going to do is go into my my Simon Says Stamp ink stash, and we're going to grab a nice shade of blue, and I don't remember what color it is. I'm over there, I'm looking for it off camera there. And so there we go, a little too fast to read, but we're going to stamp that up, and then I'm going to take and we're just going to stamp that into that white space on the right. And I'm going to tell you what, that just looks so good. Just a nice little bluebird on the front of the card there. And then we're going to take, and I was trying to decide if I want to put another one or a sentiment, and I think when it's all said and done, I just really like that. And so we're going to set that aside to dry. Now we're going to grab another card and kind of figure out what we want to do next. So this card, again, the paper cut down to give me that border, and using a nice green card base. So I think that matches really well with this particular paper. And we're going to put that on the front. And this one I changed it. Originally I was going to put that cutaway piece kind of dead in the middle like that, and then I was going to put an angle on it. And I started looking and thinking, and sometimes when I'm putting something together, my brain's working a little bit too fast. Thought about putting 2 of those on there like that. And so when you're making a card, you get an idea in mind, you can stick with that idea, but also feel free to change it. And you'll see me do this a lot in my videos. Sometimes I'll edit it out and I'll tell you what I did, but a lot of times you'll actually see it right there on screen. And this is me literally trying to figure out what I wanted to do with this. Well, in the end, I decided to do something I don't usually do. I am going to raise this piece up, and instead of putting it kind of wonky or crooked or putting more than one piece, I'm going right in the middle with this one, and just kind of keeping this a little more basic and symmetrical. And that's pretty simple. See how easy that was? I mean, it was just everything right out of the kit, just the paper in the front. And then I'm trying to decide now, do I want to stamp something on the inside of the card? So again, my brain's just kind of working, and I'm trying to figure out, do I want to do something? Do I not want to do something? And so I actually did decide to go with a little message on the inside. And for this one, we're going with a friend. This is something we can send to a friend. And this is just a little, I'm not even, I got to stamp it to see what I said there. Ah, missing you, friend. And so there's just a nice little sentiment on the inside of the card. Again, when you're doing these voiceovers, it's fun because I don't remember what I did half the time. I'm watching with you guys and just kind of talking myself through it. So this card's dry now. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some dimensional foam, but I'm using my thick, heavier, my wider pieces. I didn't want to put a bunch of small on here. And so you can see there, I didn't care too much about the middle being perfect. And we're just going to two big pieces there. And this is going to raise this one up. Since we didn't do much to this card except it's just the paper with the sentiment stamped on it. And then we're done with that one. So again, very easy to make. With that particular card. Now we're going to go back to this one, and I did like that I raised the other one up, so we're going to raise this one up as well. So we're grabbing that that wider dimensional tape. We're going to put that on there, and then this card will be done as well. And on the inside, sing like no one is listening. So that card is also going to be done. All right, so what we did here now is we're taking some of those pieces we fussy cut, and I'm just lining them up to get them ready. This is one of the card bases that I took and I inked up. I'm not sure, I can't remember if I put that on the video for you. We weren't sure if I was going to use it and then decided to go ahead and use the orange one. I was actually going to do a blue background, but just something about these colors, it just looked really nice on that orange background. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the pieces we fussy cut and we're just laying them out to see what it would look like. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some glue, just some regular glue and regular paper glue, and I got my fine tip glue bottle there, which was not cooperating, so I'm having to adjust and clean out the tip and try and get the glue working on the bottle so that we could do this. And once we got it working, we put the glue down. I do like it because it gives a nice. It's the let me see, what kind of glue is it? Let's see. I use the scrapbook.com artist craft glue, and it's a really nice bottle. Comes with multiple tips, and it works really well. It's a good, strong, sturdy glue. So that's what I use, and that's what I was using there. And the tip stays relatively clean. You just have to, it comes with a pen that you can, clean it out. Every now and then you just have to, keep it clean. So with that in mind, just think about what glues you're using. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue this last piece down. And once we get that put on there, you're going to see me, I think it's, yep, there we go. And I just use a rag and I just press down. It's going to pick up any extra glue, and that's what I'm doing here. Even with that fine tip applicator, sometimes you just get a little more glue than you want on there, but it comes right up. And if you're using the right glue, one of the things I like about the distress glue, or it'll come to me in a minute, Tim Holtz's glue, well, it works really well because it dries and it shrinks and it's clear, and you can't even, if you get any overspray, you can't tell. So what I did on this piece was we went ahead and we used a little dimensional tape to raise it up. And we're going to do the same on this piece as well, just figuring out where I want it. And I like using the dimensional tape because it kind of makes the flowers look more like a bunch now. And this was a last minute thought. I hadn't planned this. I just looked at it and didn't want to glue it all flat. Now you'll notice I'm not using tape on the stem, and I don't care about that. The stem, it's a thin piece of paper. Not the sturdiest, but it's also not that weak. It's not going to hurt anything to do that. And what you see I'm doing here is I'm just trying to figure out where I want to position it, because I know I'm probably going to trim it off. Taking a lot of time to figure out where I want to position it, and we finally put it right there. And we're just going to leave that extra piece there and cut off that on the bottom where that was hanging over, and it's going to be just fine. It won't hurt. Hopefully nobody's going to be throwing the cards around. If whoever you give it to will take care of the card. That's one of my hardest things with the card makers, knowing that I'm giving cards to people that, I don't know what they're doing with these cards, that you put all this labor and love into them, and then at some point they get put in a desk maybe, or, they get thrown away. But you have to do this because you love it, you enjoy it, and you want to give somebody something special. If you're not doing it for that reason, rethink card making, guys. Just rethink it. So got the two birds, popping them up because just felt like they needed to look like they were flying. Trying to decide if I want to put them on the flowers and couldn't make up my mind, and in the end, we wound up putting him. Like right there, so it looked like he's kind of flying in amongst the flowers, and I just think that looks really neat. Now, I was going to put another bird, and I got to looking and thinking, and there's that space again, and I thought, well, let me put a sentiment there. Now, here's the problem. I've already mounted a bird, a red bird, right in the way, but that's not going to stop me from trying. That's why I say so many times, guys, when you're making a card, if you don't have a plan in mind, sometimes the card just comes together. Sometimes you do want a very specific plan, but in this case, I didn't. And the hugs just fit perfectly in there. The bird doesn't get in the way, and I just think that kind of finished up the card nicely, putting the hearts. And I think I looked at putting some hearts in there. Nope, we actually went with this little sentiment. And again, the bird is not in the way because the stamp has depth to it as well, and the bird will give. So I put hugs for your bird day. I love that sentiment. And that really just finished up that card. And I wasn't planning that. I just looked at it and said it needs something, and it fit perfect. All right, for the next card, we have one of the blue cards that I took out of my cardstock stash. That was a leftover piece. You'll remember from one of the other cards we did. I think I made that card already. That's the edge that was cut off of that one that had the bottom border, and I thought, well, that'll look really nice as a thin strip on a card. So we're going to just put that right on that blue cardstock, and we're going to leave a little border to the left. Again, it just looks nicer. There's just something about that. And we're going to take those cutout pieces, and I'm just looking to try and figure out what exactly I want to do with them. Again, do I want them straight? Do I want them crooked? Do I want this one? Do I want that one? And a lot of times I'll have a piece laid out and think this is the one I'm going to go with, but then when I look at it, I change my mind. So with that in mind, I found the piece I wanted, and I didn't like the white on white. I didn't like the crisp edges, so we're going to take some of that blue, Simon Says Stamp ink, reactive ink, and we're just going to put some around the edges, and that's going to help pull that little piece into the card. It's not the exact same shade of blue as the card, but it really does match the blue on the paper very, very well. So we went with that, and then of course we're going to grab us some dimensional foam so that we can lift it up. I do apologize again for my voice, guys. We've got the new kit that arrived in the mail yesterday for April, and we got to get started working on that. And I just wanted to get this video done. So we're going to put that there. Now I'm looking and I'm thinking, okay, what do I need? I did like one of the ones. I was trying to decide, do I want to go with the paper, or the, and I wind up going with that bird bath. I actually like the little bird on the bird bath. I think there's just something about him looks really neat, and we're going to put him down on the bottom, and then we grabbed this piece, and then I just said no. So I put the paper on it, but I didn't use it. So I'm not going to do that. So I've actually got that piece ready to go for another card, and then I'm looking, do I want to stamp something? And then we found the bird bath didn't quite fit, but something about the bird on the mailbox kept drawing me back to him. So you see, I'm really going through a process here, and this is sped up. So this is me just sitting in the craft room trying to relax, and it really is. It really is. And in the end, what I decided was we're just going to stamp directly onto that. We've got that nice space there. I don't think we need to add any more color. The coloring on the cutout pieces, I felt they might have clashed, but that looks so clean and simple. Just stamping that image onto the blue, and we're not going to color it. We're not going to do anything. And then above that, we're gonna put. Well, let's see. What did we decide to do? Did we put a bird or did we put a sentiment? So again, you see, I haven't made up my mind yet. I'm looking at the card, trying to decide. I might be finished. We might have decided to start. Yep, I think we finished with that one. And then maybe go back later and stamp something on the inside. Okay, so just two more cards to go. And this is the next to last card. We're looking at this card, and I was going to use that gold on the yellow, and I think it looked great, but we wound up not using it. I have a hard time figuring out what to do with metallic cardstock. I think I wound up cutting it as a base piece and then putting regular paper around it, which gives me a nice metallic border, but I feel like I'm wasting all that metallic underneath. If you have a die, you can cut out the center and then kind of frame into it, but we decided not to use that. I just liked that yellow card and decided I think let's just make a card just using some of these cutouts, because I had so many that I had colored and fussy cut, and this looked really well. That mailbox had the perfect color, I think, and then the birds, for some reason, it just felt like a bright sunshiny background. We could have could have cut some grass and put a piece of across the across the bottom, die cut some grass. We didn't do that because at this point I'm just trying to put stuff together, and I really like the way this looked. We're not using any dimensional foam right now. We're going to set that bird just above the bird feeder. Could have put him on it, but didn't want to. Could have used some dimensional tape, but decided not to. Now for these two birds, the ones that are up in the air, we are going to use just a little bit of dimensional tape. And it doesn't take much. You see that one tiny piece there? And I did want to put one just above it. And I'm not even sure why. And on the wing there, normally I don't get that. Normally I don't get this detailed. Like on the blue one, I only took the one piece diagonal, and that fit much better. Just do what you need to do to feel like the paper, to feel like it's going to be stable on your card. So we're going to put those guys down there. And we're going to grab one more bird. And we're going to pop him in. And then we're thinking, well, maybe not. Don't put something on the middle. And so at this point, we're like, you know what? Let's go back to our stamps. What can we do with our stamps? And this is where it just got really, really fun. And again, because I've already mounted the two birds, I'm having to work, and find stuff that will fit. And again, because the birds are raised, the stamps are raised, you have the block, the paper will give. It's not going to be in the way, but you do have to be a little more precise when you stamp. And so there we are, putting down the "You are the tweetest friend." And then I thought, well, we've got all these singing birds, and oh, guess what's on the stamp set that we haven't used yet? There's all these musical notes. And I get a kit, and sometimes if I don't have a plan, I forget what's in it. And I had a thought at the beginning, oh, this will be fun. We'll use these music. And then I never did. And I got to this card and I remembered, but I remembered too late. So we grabbed these hearts, and I'm putting these beautiful red hearts on here, and I think they look wonderful. The card looks great. But as I'm stamping these hearts, I'm filling up space that I didn't realize I could have been using. I could have been using the music notes. And so as we're putting these hearts on here and just trying to lay them out, and it looks really nice. Then I look over and I'm like, oh man. And so at this point, I think what I decided was, can I squeeze in some musical notes? Can I make this work somehow? And you see me trying to find something that will fit. So I find this one small note, and I'm like, I'm going to make this work. So there's some notes there, and we're going to squeeze that in there. And do I want to put any more? And the answer is yes, yes I do. So we're making that fit, and then I find the little tiny one, and we're just trying to do it. But in hindsight, it actually worked out well, and I didn't plan this. And I just think it looked really neat with the hearts and the music notes together. And so that's pretty much going to finish up that card. So now we got one more card we're going to do, and we're going to grab this yellow card. And again, I'm trying to find a way to use that gold. So here's where the gold finally comes in. We're going to go, and what I've got to do is, before I second guess myself, we got to mount it to the card. So we mount it to the card. Once it's on, it's on. There's no going back. Boom, we're done. Now, what's next? Okay. Nope, don't like that. What do we got? Wait. Ooh, look at, no. Oh, wait a minute. Ooh, oh, no. Oh, this is, you know what? That's actually really pretty. So we wound up taking that strip that was left over from another piece, and we're going to cut it down to fit right across that metallic paper. And we're going to put that on the left side, and we're going to leave that border. We got the yellow border, not flushing it up. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's a rule in card making, but you see I cut it short enough to give it a border to the left, the top, and the bottom, and just tried to match it up. There's just something about borders that keep a card, it makes a card look better to me, and I'm sure there's a rule of it, and I've seen videos where people talk about the rule of three and measurements and all that. I can't give you all that. I just go to make something, and if it looks good, that's what I do. So now that we've got that done, I found a couple of the extra little cut off pieces there that we liked, and we're going to trim those down a little bit. When I laid them out, they didn't give me enough of a border. They weren't symmetrical enough. So we tried to find to make it work and look a little better. And you see me laying it out here, and I'm like, yep, that's it. That's what I want. And we've got the medallions that came with the kit. So I was thinking, can I use those somehow? And so we're actually going to incorporate one of the medallions into this kit. But the first thing we got to do is we're going to put these on, and we're not raising them up. I could have, you could have if you wanted to, but we're actually going to go flush onto that metallic cardstock, and then we're going to get ready for the tag. So what I did off camera was I took the rectangular tag there, and we tied some string onto it, and then I grabbed a distress crayon and rub that into it, and we're just going to rub that into the letters, into the words, and but that's going to stay on there, and that's going to help to make it pop a little more. And I don't remember what color distress crayon that is, but you see I chose one that matched kind of the pinks and the hues there on the card itself. And then we're going to grab some collage medium, that's what I was trying to remember earlier, which is a great glue. Because it does dry clear, and if anything presses out, it shrinks when it dries, and you see how it's coming out the side there. You're not going to see that once it's dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to put something on it to weigh it down and let it dry, and then once that dries, we will be all finished with our cards, and we'll be back in just a minute. There'll be no more voiceover. We'll go back to the live recording, and we'll walk through all these wonderful cards that we made. Okay, everyone, so we are done with this kit. We got some extra pieces left over, as you can see. We'll use that for something later on. So a few things that we didn't use that were fussy cut. These will all go back into the envelope to be used later. So this is the last card that we did. And we're gonna have to let that sit just a little bit longer because we're trying to wait for that collage medium to dry on the bottom. But that will be that card. That normally dries a little quicker. It is a little different because we're using the metallic cardstock. So we're gonna let that set to the side, but that card is done. So let's just do a quick review of our cards. So we did this one. We kind of kept this one simple. Just let the paper do the work. Took a green card base, and then we cut the paper down so we'd have a nice little border. And we used one of the cutouts that came with it, just stamped "Missing You Friend" on the inside. So there's that one. And of course we got this one, the "Sending You Big Hugs." So there's that one. And then we've got this one, which I haven't put anything on the inside. I could. Love the way the blue bird came out with the blue ink, and then distressing around the edges of the cutout. So there is that one. And then we got this one. Again, just using the paper and cutting it down to make a nice little border on the card base. And I like the sentiments that came with this kit. So we got the "Sing Like No One Is Listening," and then you can write whatever you want to write in there. So that one was one where we're just kind of letting the material do its own thing. So this was the fun one, the tricky one. Wound up doing some cutting and alcohol inks, and I like the way this came out. Got some dimension to it, raised up the birds and a couple of the flowers there. Just a little simple "Hugs for Your Bird Day." I think we wound up stamping that one afterwards. Made it a little more difficult on ourselves than it needed to be, but there it is. And this is good. I like this. We could have stamped directly onto it and colored it and done some masking, but honestly, I think this is easier. I think it looks a little different. So there's that one. We like that one. And then we have this one. And then we decided to stamp that, and wasn't sure what to do with that. Gave a lot of thought to that, and finally just left it alone. Was going to put something up there and decided not to. So it's just a nice little thank you card. So there's that one. And then this one, which also is one that towards the end where we changed it, we were going with the yellow, which wound up being, we were going to do something originally, which that wound up being this card. And then just decided to use up some of these cutouts. And then forgot about all the little stamps that came with it. So we added the hearts, and then the little musical notes for the birds singing. Forgot that those were in there. Sometimes we have to look at our set to realize what we have. There's musical notes, musical notes, musical notes, and then the 3 different hearts. What I actually didn't use in this kit, and I meant to go back and use it around some of the bird bath. I thought there was one somewhere. We didn't use it. But around the bird bath is they actually have these little water droplets here. So you could actually put those around the bird bath. So, and then you have these other leaves. We didn't use any of these smaller leaves. So there's basically just you know, a lot in that, a lot of stamps in there. So there we go. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. Actually 8 cards that we did. So hopefully that gives you guys some ideas. Way behind this month. The new kit's getting ready to come out. So as soon as that comes out, we'll try and be a little bit faster getting some ideas for you out there. But there you go. Hope you enjoy these. And let's get this out of the way. And hope you enjoyed that. Hope that gave you some ideas just to take the kit and play with it. And just use what you have. And hopefully just to keep creating. So I really enjoyed this. I haven't been able to make in quite some time. So getting down here and doing this was very relaxing and much needed time for me. So as always, Pastor Ian, the Krabby Krafter here, saying, thanks for watching. God bless. And always remember that I believe the ability to create is a gift from God. Happy Krabby Krafting. Until next time.